kept pushing on, but then you went too far. When your ship has sailed and all your dreams are lost, everything is wrong, you feel like it's your fault. Just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life throws lemons, just call on me. Just call on me. Just call on me. Just call on me. You're stronger now than you ever been. You gotta leave now, it's time to catch the wind. You will climb up high and look through the clouds, and when you're feeling low, I know you'll bounce back. Oh, and just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life throws lemons, just call on me. Just call on me. Just call on me. Just call on me.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Sim Racer's Edge. Last Wednesday, we had a barn burner finish at Pocono Motor Speedway where Butch Davis edged out Dan Brasington and Ronnie Osmer for the victory. Tonight, we set our sights on Hotlanta and another notable, Tony Trapasso, the voice of, we'll call the Sim Racer's Edge, and ESPN legend, is out of the hospital, he's back home, and he's ready to call an amazing show. Tony, last week I finally got to see what you were telling me about this league, how great they really were when they get to these, circuit, not circuit racings, but more oval tracks and things like that. They put on one heck of a show. I never stopped talking, even though I was a single-man booth last week. It was a great time. I think we're going to see much of the same. Do me a favor, tell me and tell everybody else watching what you expect here at Hotlanta.
Well, all you've got to do is go back to the previous two season finales, season 1 and season 2. This was the season-ending race. And all you got to do is go back and take a look at those races that you can find on our YouTube channel to see what type of racing you're going to see tonight. You're going to see more of the same of that. And it's going to be side by side all night long. It's going to be, who can get into cleaner air quicker. It's going to be who can play the draft to perfection and who can time their runs immaculately to, really make it happen tonight. And I mean, there's a lot of factors coming into play. And these guys are, I dare say, second to none when it comes to mile and a half racing. Some of our best finishes with this league have been on the mile and a half and 2 mile courses. And the thing to keep in mind, John, this is relatively cool temperatures for the Atlanta Metroplex. So I expect to see the speeds up, the lap times down, and these guys are really going to lay it out tonight, because after tonight, there's only 2 races left in this season, and both of them are at the granddaddy of all super speedways in North America, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. We hit the road course first, and then we close the season on the oval. And everybody's trying to get as many points as they possibly can to try to reel in Chad Simpson right now.
Right on there, Tony. And reeling in Chad Simpson, that's going to be a really, really tall order. Go ahead and put the points up on screen for just a couple moments here, is what I'm going to do for everybody, so they can just kind of see just how tight this really is. Have a little difficulty right here with it. Here we go. So Chad Simpson is leading the point standings at 314 points after last week. Chris Simard at 284. He had a really, really good race last week, Tony, and then some things just kind of didn't go his way. He just did not get the finish that he really deserved last week. He wasn't a top 3 car, but he was a 4th or 5th place car and ended up significantly further back than that. Then you can see Butch Davis, last week's race winner, scored at 276 points. So really, it's pretty much a 3-way battle for the lead here. And really, only Chris Simard, I would say, in legitimate striking distance, as long as Simpson shows up every week.
Yeah, and I mean, you take a look at the stats that Simpson has. In 9 starts, he's had 9 top 5 finishes. 2 of those being wins, the rest being podium finishes. We've spoken to Chad every race this season, and that consistency is what wins championships. Chris Simard hasn't quite been as consistent. 1 pole, 1 win, 8 top 5 finishes, 9 top 10s. And it's that those couple of races that were outside of the podium and outside of the top 5 that are really what are hurting Simard right now. And, and that's, I hate to say it, but we've seen it in the previous 2 seasons when he was chasing Nate Siefker. It was the Chris and Nate show for the first 2 seasons. Now it's the Chad and Chris show. And the fact that it's only 33 points is nothing short of miraculous. And I mean, right now it's really a 3-horse race. Because you got Simard 33 points out from Simpson, and you got Davis 5 points back from Chris. So it's still, there's still a lot to play for, but the fact is the Achilles heel for Simard are the road courses, and we've got 1 more left before we finish this season, and that's really going to make or break his season.
So, yeah, I think you're right about that. And this, I'm looking at this as a race that Butch Davis might have a really great opportunity at capitalizing on. I mean, if he can go back-to-back wins here, real good opportunity to close the gap. And Tony, I really wish you were here last week. It was just such a great battle. I mean, every corner was a lead change. Every single corner.
That's typical Sim Racers Edge Pocono racing. Those guys are back and forth all race long. I'm surprised it was only 3 cars that were slugging it out there because, most of the time you're seeing 5 and 6 cars just going haymaker at each other, Chuck Liddell style, throw the right hand and hope for the best kind of racing. That's what we normally see at Pocono. So the fact that there were only 3 of them up there, it shows that the level of competition is really ramping up here as these guys are working to really get it done.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, as the season winds down, you see people really having to go for broke, and those top 3 though being Samar, Davis, Simpson. I mean, they are kind of showing what they're worth as opposed to the rest of the field, and that's why that gap is there. Put the points back up real quick one more time there. That's why there's from Butch Davis to Jeffrey Roulette. That's about a 44-point gap right there,
yeah.
3rd to 4th. I mean, that's fairly noticeable in my opinion. And then it starts to drop off rather quickly as you get back to Sturgill, Jeffrey Bogan at 216, and ninth in the points. Mike Grandy is not even at the 200 mark. So consistency really goes a long way, obviously, with these guys week in and week out. And the top 3 are definitely the most consistent of the drivers. And we know that Simpson and Davis are winning races left and right.
Right, exactly. And, the thing to take a look at, too, Jeffrey Roulette, 1 pole, 0 wins, 1 top 5. 9 top 10s, but only 1 top 5. Mike Sturgill has 2 wins on the season, no poles, but only 3 top 5s, 2 of those being wins, but only 3. 3 times in the top 5, and only 6 times in the top 10. So that inconsistency, now Sturgill, he's a hell of a wheelman. And I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do in the upcoming endurance races with VSM Racing. But, the biggest thing is he's always on the attack, and sometimes it's self-inflicted wounds. And the same thing with Jeffrey Roulette. They want to get that monkey off their back, especially Roulette, being as he's winless this season. Trying to get that monkey off his back, he overdrives the car a lot of times, puts himself in a bad situation, and then snaps you by. Your team is putting the car back on the hauler piece by piece. And another perfect example of that is Ronnie Osmer. 2 poles, 1 win, 4 times did he go top 5, and of course the same top 10s there. But all 4 of them, he's only done it 4 times in 9 starts. So it's self-inflicted wounds that have hurt everybody from 4th place on down. Dan Brazington's another great example. The last week's podium finish, that's only his 3rd time in the top 5. But it looks like we are getting ready to grid this one up as car's definitely taking to the track right now as Chad Simpson setting quick time 24.94 flat. Your points leader starting up on the pole, and he's joined with 2nd place in points on the front row by only 30 thousandths of a second difference between the 2 of them. That's Chris Samard in the Nuclear Banana number 77. Mike Grandy and Ronnie Osmer are going to be starting in row number 3. Mike Sturgill and Yari Brawpatcher, who's been another one of the Heartbreak Hotel residents this season, going to be starting in row number 3. Row 4 gives us Ernie Ludwig in his return to the series with Jeffrey Roulette to his outside. Chris Walker and Jeffrey Bogan are going to round out your top 10.
And last week's race winner, Butch Davis, starts a little surprisingly more towards the middle of the field, starting 11th with Michael Bourne to his outside. Dan Brasington was a part of the battle last week at Pocono. He starts 13th. Mike Rigney in the number 30, 14th, and Mark McFadden 15th. William Fletcher is rounding in is in the 16th position. Kevin O'Brien, Tim Bates, that's row number 9. Row 10, Paul Crumry and Carl Burke.
Absolutely, as 20 cars scheduled to roll off here tonight as the field starts to roll behind the abomination that iRacing has given us for a pace car. And Chad Simpson going to have the button here. And, like we said, the draft is going to be huge here. But the thing they've got to be mindful of is the dirty air off the car in front of you. Fresh tires, yes, you've got all the mechanical grip you need to hang up there. But as soon as the tires start to wear down, you're going to need to get that front wing into some clean air. As the field worked its way through the 3-4 complex, Simpson going to have the button as soon as the pace car peels on off. The only thing that's left to do is wipe the visor, adjust the 5-point safety harness, make sure the steering wheel's on nice and tight. And race fans, it's showtime!
Oh man, I know this is going to be another fast-paced race just like last Wednesday was, Tony. Chad Simpson out front, Mike Randy Sr. already making moves. You see him right behind Simpson. Simard under siege already by Ronnie Osmer, Yari Brewpatcher right there. I expect we're going to see a lot of really tight, insane moves that may or may not work here for this race, Tony. And you can already see these drivers, just the way these cars drive, like you mentioned, an oversized go-kart that's close to the ground with way too much horsepower. Everybody's already making crazy moves and getting excited. And we have a car up in the wall a little bit. I think that's Sturgill. That is.
No, that was Brewpatcher.
You are absolutely right. He's still having trouble in the wall, trying to stay out away from everybody else. He's going to drop all the way back to 17th. Looks like he's coming down pit road.
As you would do here. The bad news is no fast repair tonight. And we did have a shakeup at the front of this thing. Mike Grandy Sr. taking over the lead. Ronnie Osmer jumping up to second place as Chad Simpson and Chris Simard right there with him. And then you got a little bit of a gap, about 3/4 of a second back to fifth place, Jeffrey Roulette. So, right now, if you're any of the guys from FBR, you should be damn proud of the season that whole team has put together. You've got Simpson leading the points, Butch Davis sitting in third in points, and Jeffrey Roulette is number 4 in points. So they have 3 drivers in the top 4 in points right now with a lot left to race for. As Osmer throws it to the inside, going into 1 to Russell will lead away from Grandy.
Hey, he's going to slide right up in front of Mike Grandy onto the backstretch right here as Grandy's going to work the crossover into turn 3. He's going to make the bottom stick. It looks like he's going to slide right back up. I bet we're going to look at this. It's going to be a lot like I saw last week, Tony, because here comes Osmer looking to the inside, coming into turn number 1. And these guys can just go back and forth like this over and over and over until one just doesn't get the right entry or the exit. And I think we're going to see a lot of that. See, here we go again. Grandy to the inside of Ronnie Osmer coming into turn number 3. It's going to go back and forth.
Well, one of the things that I think really helped this league, there's a YouTuber by the name of Aiden, awesome driver out of the UK, getting into Indy cars. It's the first time he's ever had to deal with the weight jacker and being able to play with the sway bars. He did a video a couple of weeks ago that was shared with the Sim Racers Edge group on their Facebook page, and it really helped explain what the weight jacker does and why it does what it does, and that's really one of the keys to what helped last week with the action that you were seeing, because now these guys, before they weren't really mapping it out on their steering wheels. Now they have that weight jacker map, and they're changing it down the straightaway and in the corners. They're changing that weight jacker constantly.
Yeah, you know, I got to hear a little bit of that during the interviews last week, that every corner was different, at least at Pocono anyway, and all three of them are very different corners, so I can understand making changes on the front stretch or the corner stretch, side stretch, whatever you want to call it, stretch 1, 2, and 3 at Pocono. And even here in Atlanta, turns 1 and 2 are just a little different from 3 and 4, so I can definitely understand making the slight adjustments, and then you're trying to make the most speed you can down the straights, and then you want to turn a little bit better when you hit the corner. So yeah, that's definitely making a difference here. A little single, I want to say single file for the front four, but as I say that, Osborne is back to the inside of Grandy Sr. right here, and now we got a battle for third with Simard and Simpson as well.
Absolutely, and this is what Chris Simard needs. He needs a good, solid run. He needs to try to finish ahead of Simpson, and try to, you know, gain as many points as he can to try to reel Simpson in, especially considering that we have next week off, but the week after that, we're on a road course, and Simpson will be the first, or Simard will be the first one to tell you, he's not a road course ringer by any means. He just tries to go out and survive those races. But once we get to the oval at Indy, all bets are off, because everybody usually puts in a ton of practice going into whatever oval distance we're going. The last two times we've done a 500-mile race at Indy, and here comes Simard on the inside of Grandy to wrestle second place away from him, as now we've got a VSM 1-2 at the front.
Now, Tony, tell me this. Are there bonus points and opportunities scored for leading laps right here? Can he help
yes.
soften the lead if he wins the most laps or leads a lap? Do you, off the top of your head, do you know what the points are given for and at what intervals?
It's 1 point for leading a lap, another point for leading the most laps. It's 5 points for setting pole. So, unfortunately for Simard, Simpson already got that. And then I believe there's a point for biggest mover, and there's also a point for clean race.
Very interesting system right there. Well, that's not going to be very helpful, because even if Simard leads a lap and leads the most laps, he's not going to make up that 5 points. So that's that's a couple positions right there.
He's got to win to counteract the pole award, because there is a 5-point bonus for winning the race.
Gotcha. Wow. So, man, that pole award here is very important.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you take a look at, Simpson's stats this season as opposed to Simard. Simpson's had a couple of poles. Simard has not. Simpson, 2 poles, 2 wins. Simard, 1 pole, 1 win. But it's those top 5 finishes, and the fact that we have spoken to Chad Simpson every race. So every race, he's finished on the podium. And Simard, not so much. So consistency is what wins championships, and unfortunately, Chris Simard, nice guy, but he tends to get inside his own head around mid-season, and then turns on the juice at the end of the season. But by then, sometimes it's a little too late. Like you take a look at last season, with 2 races left, Nate Seifert just had to show up.
We got a problem right here.
Oh boy. That's Mike Grandy.
That's crazy.
Yikes. Roll that beautiful bean footage and let's watch that again.
I'm going to try here.
Just bang the safer barrier coming off a 2, and then nosed it hard into the inside safer barrier and completely tore off the front end, and a lot of front end suspension damage on the number 12. So that might put an end to Grandy's night. Jari Brabhatcher's already put it on the hauler. Paul Crumry, Mike Rigney, and Carl Burke all electing to just take their show-up points and call it good.
Yeah, that's rather unfortunate. Still trying to get footage of the actual accident here. Kind of just didn't really get an event for me to go back and find it quickly, so unfortunately I'm going to go back to live. I'm not going to try to look for it too long because, I mean, we've got a battle right here for the lead with Simard and Osmer. And at this point, I'm going to say that's the most important, but really tough break for Mike Grandy, who was up there leading laps. And, I mean, going from the lead to 16th due to just one small mistake, a lot can happen, so...
Yeah, absolutely. And a lot has changed in the past week, too, as Ronnie Osmer is one of the lead mechanics over at Our Motorsports. The only member of that crew that did not get suspended after Kansas this past weekend. So, Osmer, congratulations. You've just become the crew chief.
Wow, that's a pretty big deal right there to be the one, the last man standing. That's just kind of kudos for doing everything right in that regard right there. Not cutting corners, following the rules. But I mean, if you're not cutting corners, you're not really racing at the same time, right? I like to follow the rules though, personally, but that's just me.
Well, I'm going to borrow a phrase that was from the late, great Smokey Eunuch. The rule books aren't meant to tell you what you can't do. You need to interpret them to figure out what you can do to get an advantage.
I like it. I 100% like that. That very much the truth.
Of course, we're talking about a man that used to put basketballs in his fuel tank to have them measure out during tech that, yeah, the fuel tank only holds 22 gallons. And then he would deflate the basketball back in the garage, take the basketball out, and you suddenly have another 3 gallons available to you. So NASCAR quickly caught on to that. They made him take the fuel tank out. The only thing is, Smokey had enough fuel line in the car that it held 5 gallons on its own and drove from the racetrack to his shop in downtown Daytona without a fuel tank.
That's insane. Any way you can gain an advantage, that's absolutely wild.
The rule book never said size and length of, the fuel line you could use.
I bet it does now.
Yeah, it absolutely does. It absolutely does. They regulate that pretty well now. And
is that guy ever gonna pit? Why is he still out there? I can see that all these random questions being pumped up by something like that.
Well, you figure you got an extra 3 gallons in the tank, and then you got a fuel line that holds 5 on its own. Yeah, that would have been wild if he would have gotten away with it.
That's pretty funny. Yeah, not in today's world, not in today's motorsport.
Oy.
So, wow, yeah, big wiggle right there from Osmer as he thought he was going to clip the wall and manages to stay out of it. And to tell you what, Tony, we were kind of just talking a little bit, kind of a lull in the action other than these two here. Almost 3 seconds back to Sturgill Jr. and Chad Simpson right here, battle for third. Another really good battle going on. And then about 2 seconds back, you got Jeffrey Roulette. He's kind of all by himself in his own little world. Butch Davis is a little bit further back, and he's not exactly gaining on him either in the 6th position. So everybody's starting to kind of spread out now.
But let's take a look at how things are sitting right now. Simard, VSM Racing leading the way. Ronnie Osmer, VSM Racing in second. Sturgill, VSM Racing in third. Chad Simpson, FBR Motorsports in fourth. Jeffrey Roulette, FBR Motorsports in fifth. And Butch Davis, FBR Motorsports in sixth. Anyone notice a theme here?
It sure does seem like it's a theme at this point.
And that's what we've been seeing most of this season. It's been a slugfest between the boys from FBR and the boys from VSM. And I dare call them frenemies. They joke around and cut up with each other between the teams. Not when they're not on the track, but they are tough-nosed, hard racing competitors once they strap those helmets on.
Well, as you would expect any kind of race fan or driver to be, I mean, you might be my best friend, but I'm still trying to beat you. In fact, I'm going to race my friends harder. I mean, obviously a little more respectfully, but I'm going to race them harder than I would race somebody else that I don't really care for, It's just that
Absolutely.
friendly rivalry. Hey, I beat you last week. Yeah, but you didn't win 3 weeks ago. That's a fun extra tidbit as far as racing goes. But anyway, Tony, we're at lap 35 coming to 36 for Samard and Ronnie Osmer. Like you always say, we're going to step away for a moment to pay some bills, and we're going to go side by side here. And go ahead and take a look at this video from Red Cat. Tony knows a lot about Red Cats. It's a really great way to get into the RC rock crawling game. Really cool. I can't wait to get one of these puppies myself.
They also make some great basher trucks too. Those trucks that you take out into an empty lot and just beat the snot out of it, and it's asking for more.
Yeah, see, I mean, just great products. I mean, Christmas is coming up. Black Friday's coming up. There's family and adults in here. Kids love these things. We've got a link in the description for it if you want to check those items out. They look really great. They do help us out a little bit. Basically, I'm kind of chief over here on the SRM ESPN side, but that's how I take care of my guys. You guys using these links helping us out. I take care of guys like Tony.
Okay, does that mean I'm getting a free Red Cat for Christmas?
I mean, if enough of our fans buy Red Cats for their Christmas presents, you absolutely could get a Red Cat for Christmas, Tony. Holy moly, never mind, we're not stepping away. Samard spinning down the front stretch. Caution is out.
Good grief, what the hell happened there?
It looked like he was thinking about coming down pit road. Yeah, it looks like he was thinking about
that's
coming
exactly
down.
what he was trying to do, and he hit that apron just wrong. There's a transition that leads into the dog leg and into pit road that you could see where he was kind of straddling that transition, and it unloaded the rear suspension on him and just gone.
Righto. Well, this is going to make this easy for our drivers. We know everybody's going to pit Tony, so we're going to continue with what we were going to do. Tony and I are going to step away. It's about 2 minutes, and we'll be back with you momentarily. We're going to go side by side.
And that was a word from our very good friends over at Red Cat Racing. Again, holidays are coming, folks, as well as, you know, we all know somebody that's got a December birthday, and the best way you can remember that December birthday is to not skimp on giving them something for their birthday and just going, well, Merry Christmas, here's your birthday gift. You know, that kind of sucks when you got a December birthday. So try to keep those in mind as, you know, we get closer to the holiday season. And, you know, I was just telling John as we went to break that I'm actually staring at one of their Gen 7 crawling rigs on top of my desk right now. And it came with everything I needed in the package as I got it from the hobby shop. You know, I got mine from A-Main Hobbies, great price point. You know, great customer service there. And you know, it comes with everything you need to get the truck rolling. The only thing is that once I got the truck, I swapped out the battery pack that came with it for a 2-cell LiPo pack, and I get about a half hour, 45 minutes of runtime on the trails with one battery pack. So, I mean, you can have a ton of fun, you know, right straight out of the box with these things. And again, one of the best products you're going to find to get into the hobby of RC, and not just those store-bought El Cheapo trucks that you'd get at your local big box store. As lights are out on the iRacing pace car, Osmer has the button, rolling into the dog leg. Osmer pulls the trigger, Sturgill goes with him, and they get a gap on Chad Simpson as they haul it off into turn number 1.
We're going to see a little bit more of the same, I think, as we did last time. It's going to take a little bit before guys start to get spread out. Want to keep an eye on Butch Davis, still back in 6th in that 43 as he makes his way to the front. Ronnie Osmer, I'm showing 5th now for Davis, but Ronnie Osmer, Simpson up front battling right now. Samard, he's back to 13th after that spin trying to come to pit road. He's got his work cut out for him to get back up to the front. Keep an eye right here. Here's Butch Davis, last week's race winner. Under a little bit of fire from Jeffrey Bogan. Just behind him is Dan Brasington, however you want to pronounce that. He was also a part of the battle. All right, Brasington it is. Thank you, Tony. We're going to take our eyes back up here to Michael Sturgill Jr., who is pretty much following in the footsteps of Osmer until this time, where he's trying the highlight.
And Butch Davis just blistered one for a lap. First one to go sub-25 here tonight as the battle hot and heavy for the lead between Osmer and Sturgill. Both those drivers up 3 spots from their starting positions. Biggest mover right now, though, is sitting in 8th position. That's Timmy Bates in the 6th. Another VSM stalwart having a great run right now, as Butch Davis is also up 7 spots, sitting in the number 4 spot.
Yeah, he just got around Jeffrey Roulette right there, Tony. I expected to see him work his way to the front and take a little bit of time, you know. But here we are, getting pretty close to 50 laps into this thing, and he's up from 11th to 4th. 4 more positions to go. Dare I say we'll see him lead at least a few laps in this one before it's over. Yeah,
absolutely. As you know, right now, Osmer and Sturgill doing everything they can to try to help their teammate by taking as many spots away from Simpson as they can get, being as there's only 2 of them. That's why Simpson's running in 3rd. But you notice Sturgill running the Rim Rider line going through 1 and 2, conserving his tires a little bit more than Osmer is. Osmer running it right down on the Q line, right down on that white line coming through the corner. Sturgill, again, up by the safer barrier, able to carry the speed, taking the longer way around, but getting not having to scrub off as much speed to make the corner.
You know, and one thing I'm not really familiar with here is tire wear of these machines, but what I do know is that the harder you turn that wheel to the left, the more you're scrubbing that tire coming out of the corner. that pretty much stays the same for any race car on any kind of oval.
Absolutely.
So I really do kind of like that higher lane just a little bit for the long term here. But, you know, if you can run the lower lane and use your throttle to help you turn, and you can offset that a bit.
Well, here's the other thing that's going on. Osmer has his front wing in clean air. Sturgill, by putting his car where he is in the corner, has his front wing in clean air. So you're not punishing the right front tire to get the car to turn. And you can see, you know, Simpson right down there on that bottom line, using the same line Osmer's using, but not able to gain on Sturgill because he's in a little bit of dirty air from Osmer. Yes, he's getting the draft, but they both are down the straightaways. But Osmer and Sturgill starting to pull a little bit of a gap on Simpson down the straights.
You know, we saw a little bit of this last week too. You know, so drivers could get huge runs and they could catch another driver. They could get right up to about where Sturgill is to Osmer. And then it was pretty difficult to get by him. I mean, you might be able to just pass him. Then there's the crossover move, and then it just goes back and forth forever. And I'm going to go ahead and attribute that to it being dirty air, like you just mentioned.
Nice.
So that's going to be what's going on with that.
Got a battle going hot and heavy right now for the 8th spot. That's Will Fletcher, Jeff Bogan, and Timmy Bates throwing hand grenades at each other right now, trying to make something happen as Bates and Bogan right there with each other. Is Bogan in the Tequila Patron number 21, and Timmy Bates right behind him in the is that the old AC Delco paint? No.
I don't believe so. No, sir.
But, you know, again, those guys just going hammer and tongs at it as the battle now starting to heat up for 5th. Roulette has it. Brazington wants it. And I wasn't looking at that right. That's Brazington and Samard.
Yeah. No worries. That kind of happens to the best of us. Even myself, even Tony. But yes, that's Samard really bringing the pressure onto Brazington. We knew Samard, obviously, he had speed. Didn't think he was going to stay back in that 13th position for too long. Looks like he's going to slide, try to slide up right here. Not quite going to be able to clear Brazington. Has to stay on the low line. His back's going to fall right in behind him. I'd really keep an eye on this one. I expect Samard to be able to take at least another couple positions here in this fuel run. And fuel runs, thanks to Butch Davis, pre-race let us know they're about 35 to 40 laps, Tony.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, Samard's got to be careful because he's got a very hungry Will Fletcher reeling him in right now, as what was over a second gap is now right there. You know, that's car length and a half, 2 cars between Samard and Fletcher, as it looks like Osmer and Sturgill are definitely starting to pull away from Simpson. You know, almost a half a second to the good right now between Sturgill and Simpson, and that gap has, you know, gained ever so slightly each consecutive lap that we've run.
Yeah, we can focus a little bit further on the back because not much is changing right there. But we do have ourselves a bit of a battle for 10th. We've got Jeffrey Bogan, Mark McFadden, Ernie Ludwig, all kind of back here within about a second of each other. Jeffrey Bogan's got the 10th place position. McFadden's right there behind him. And until a few moments ago, Ernie Ludwig was right in that same group with them, but he's fallen back by about a second now from Bogan, or excuse me, from McFadden. But McFadden right here and Bogan are going hot back and forth here. I think it's actually pronounced McFadden, excuse me.
Yes, it is. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but McFadden is the same driver from Canada that we have seen in a lot of other leagues. Just about every night that we have something going on the ESPN family of broadcasts, McFadden is usually one of the names that we're talking about. So, you know, picking him up and laying him down right now in the double deuce. as he gets by Bogan and really makes it start to happen, as looks like Davis and Roulette starting to get after it with each other. Yes, they are.
For sure. It looks like Butch managed to get up there to that 4th spot there. However, Jeffrey Roulette, he wants that position back, and Brasington's there also. Simard actually fell back to 8th from where he was a few moments ago. I expect that'll work itself out. But here's Jeffrey Roulette getting by Butch Davis right here. Golly, I'm fumbling my words. That's a little uncharacteristic of me when I'm sitting up here in the booth. Davis looks to the inside, thinks a little better of it. Now he's going to take the high lane coming into turn number 3. Maybe he's trying to set up a crossover move, potentially coming into turn number 1.
Well, here's the thing with Roulette and Davis. Those are two of the guys from FBR. So they're in the same team chat with each other. Just kind of having fun right now, but they're going to have to get a little serious, as here comes Brasington to the inside of Davis, going through 3 and 4. Davis going to be able to defend on the high line with the momentum coming off of 4 going into the dog leg. Brasington, though, keeping his foot in it. No drafting help to speak of right now, but great run for Dan, as I'm sure this is going to be making the father-in-law happy, as he's got another top 10 right now, as Simard has gotten back by Will Fletcher.
Yeah, I didn't think that was going to last for too terribly long. I didn't really see what happened, but I'm assuming there might have been like a little bit of a loose or a tight scenario for Simard, and that's what allowed William Fletcher and Brasington to get around him. Excuse me, just William Fletcher to get back around him. But sitting in 7th, so far so good on the recovery after trying to make it to pit road and spinning. I mean, just somehow kept it out of the wall, kind of got into the grass a little bit, got the car going straight, and then it's fortunate that that brought out the caution, so he didn't lose any spots there, or excuse me, a lap there, I should say. So we'll keep an eye on him. I expect that he'll have something to say on this one before we're done with it, as we're coming to lap 68 of 160, still have a long way to go.
Absolutely, as these guys are about 30 laps into this fuel run. They only got an 81% fuel fill tonight, and as you mentioned, we're looking about 40 to 45 laps. Let me rephrase that. 45 laps unless you're Chad Simpson, in which case you're looking at 45 laps. Because, I mean, Simpson, I don't know how he does it week in and week out, but gets some of the best fuel mileage of anybody on the track at any given time. As the battle for 5th starting to heat up again, as Brasington closes back in on the STP 43 of Butch Davis. Coming through the dog leg, Brasington with a head of steam, trying to figure out an arrow push from hell going into 1. You see that car wiggle? Wow.
Sure did. And kind of a little bit of a lucky break there, but we're also dealing with excellent drivers at the same time. And, you know, it may be the fact that this is just a giant go-kart super low to the ground. Can you imagine a wiggle like that in a taller, heavier machine?
You mean like a stock car?
Yeah, like a stock car. That would have been a big old wreck.
Yeah, you would have definitely been replacing the right side body panels on that stock car before the next race. But like we've mentioned before, you coming from the tin top, full fendered stuff, the biggest thing to remember is in a stock car, the car weighs twice as much and your tires are half as wide. You come to an Indy car like this, the tires are twice as wide, the car weighs half as much, and it's so much more responsive to inputs, especially when you're playing with that weight jack and you're playing with those sway bars, or anti-roll bars, if you will. You're playing with those adjustments constantly to keep the car finely balanced throughout the fuel run. Like we've heard last week, there's guys that, they were playing with that weight jacker just every corner, as it looks like Airborne, Mike Bourne in the 34 having problems on the backstretch, bringing it down pit side again to try to get some damage fixed. Not the night he was hoping for, as we've had 3 retirements so far and 3 do not starts. Carl Burke, Paul Crumry, and Mike Rigney. Kevin O'Brien, Mike Grandy Sr., and Yari Brupatcher have all decided to put it on the hauler, and I would kind of expect Mike Bourne's not that far off from joining them, as Jeff Bogan brings the 21 down onto pit road. He is going to be one of the first ones to blink, as we're about 35 laps into this fuel run.
Looks like, I could be wrong here, taking a quick look at Bogan, looks like he might have a little bit of right front damage, possibly. I can't really tell because I can't get a super good zoom-in angle right there, but as you...
Well, let me look.
Oh, I will let you...
And yes, he does. Yeah, the toe is definitely knocked out on that car. But, the team doing what they can to fix it.
Yeah, here he is coming out of pit road right now. Well, shouldn't be too long now, Tony. I think we'll see, like you said, everybody but Chad Simpson down pit road in the next 5 laps. Probably closer to the latter of those when we start seeing them come down. But another thing that our drivers mentioned pre-race to us earlier in the day was that pit road entry is tricky. We already saw that. The exit is tricky. And and one of the keys tonight to winning is going to be getting onto pit road under green, getting off pit road well, and trying to be out front or in a situation that gives your car cleaner air. That's what the drivers were talking about prior to the race, and we're seeing that. Drivers know best, and they're showing it right now.
And I just wanted to let you know that we do have a GoPro on the helmet of Jeff Bogan. And you can see it down the straightaways. He's ever so slightly left-hand down, which means that he has knocked the toe out of that car. But he is back out there and back up to speed, only losing, looks like 1 lap. Let me double check that. 2 laps, trying to get the Skilled Patron number 21 fixed. But just ever so slightly left-hand down. And, that's something that the drivers are going to notice that, when it happens, and it's a little disconcerting.
It's a bother when something's different.
Osmerson.
Yep, sure is. Ronnie Osmer comes down pit road right there. That's going to give Michael Sturgill the lead. And so I'm going to figure, now that he's down pit road, a bunch of others are going to come down. Here comes McFadden. Here comes Chris Walker. And I want to go back, touch on Jeffrey Bogan real quick. Based on him being 2 laps down and obviously taking fuel and repairs, there's a caution if it falls at the right time. He could end up back on the lead lap rather easily, because I'm pretty sure he's going to have the lucky dog position without much of a problem.
Well, right now, Ronnie Osmer goes a lap down after taking 4 in fuel on that stop, only 8.62 seconds, as these guys are able to change all 4 tires simultaneously, unlike the tin top guys, the Sturgill, Roulette, Samard, and Fletcher all bring it down pit road. That hands the lead of the race over to Chad Simpson. So I would dare say that we're about 5 or 6 laps away from seeing Simpson bring it down pit road. The question is, what's going to happen with Davis, Brazington, and Timmy Bates, and Ernie Ludwig?
Well, something I noticed last week, Davis tends to stay out a little longer than the field, too. Granted, that was only based on 1 track, but I did notice he stayed out a couple laps longer than everybody else, and it seemed to work for him pretty well last week. Showing Tim Bates coming down pit road right now, and then Jeffrey Roulette, Simard, Fletcher, those drivers who came down pit road a few minutes ago, they all got on to pit road clean and off pit road clean, as here comes Simard. Looks like he's going to be around the 8th position whenever things cycle out for him. Simpson's still out, Davis still out, Brazington, Ernie Ludwig, only drivers out on track yet to pit.
Well, here's the good news. After 40-ish laps, as Simpson bringing it down pit side, but after about 40-ish laps, the difference in the lap times, you're only talking just over half a second fall off. So, the undercut's not going to be as huge here tonight as we've seen it elsewhere, and as we've seen it with other series as well. Sometimes we're talking, 2.5, 3 seconds of tire fall off, as Ernie Ludwig taking over the lead of this race. Ernie's another one that, when it comes down to fuel mileage racing, I mean, that dude almost won an Indy 500 with a different league, and he lost it running out of gas about 500 yards from the yard of bricks.
That is so close. Oh,
He
so
almost
close.
made it. I mean, he seriously almost won that thing. It was maybe a car length and a half, 2 car lengths is all he lost that race by.
Wow, that's incredible. That'd be a heartbreaker too.
Oh yeah, as now Ludwig brings it pit side. That's going to hand the lead of the race over back to the Our Motorsports VSM PH Aware number 55 of Ronnie Osmer. His partner in crime, Mike Sturgill, about 2 seconds back in second place. Chad Simpson, 3 more seconds back from Sturgill, and then Butch Davis in fourth is another 2.5 seconds back off his teammate in fourth.
Well, Tony, pit stops are done. We're going to go ahead and step away for a moment. We're going to turn things up. You and I can talk about what we're going to talk about next, and the fans, drivers, and family can listen to these machines a little bit louder. We'll be right back.
with the Sim Racers Edge, round number 13 at, round number 12 at the Atlanta Motor Speedway, and it's turning into unlucky number 12 for a lot of the VSM drivers, as Chris Simard has put it on the hauler after tagging the wall in turn 3 and completely just cheese gratering the right side of that car. And a couple laps later, Ronnie Osmer brushed the safer barrier as well. It doesn't seem to have affected Osmer, though, as he is still slugging it out with his teammate Mike Sturgill up at the front of this piece, as they have about a second and a half gap back to Chad Simpson, who currently holds down the number 3 spot. And Michael Airborne has put it on the hauler as well. So that leaves us with, I count 5 retirees. That would be Simard, Bourne, O'Brien, Mike Grandy, and Yari Brudpatcher. But this battle up at the front between the two teammates, it looks like just, two guys in a private test session right now, as they're just playing duck and peek around each other's mirrors, as Jeff Bogan brings the 21 back pit side. It looks like he's trying to get some more of that damage fixed on the Tequila Patron number 21, as we only have 7 cars left on the lead lap. It's Mike Sturgill in the 90, Ronnie Osmer in the 55, Chad Simpson in the 42, Butch Davis in the 43, Dan Brazington rounding out your top 5 in the 29. Then you've got the 6 of Timmy Bates, who's up 12 spots from where he started this piece. And the last driver being scored on the lead lap is the double deuce of Mark McFadden.
Seems like Atlanta definitely kind of brought some places to
What the hell is wrong with your mic?
I'm not sure what you're talking about, but it's going to be on your end, because on my end, all the audio are correct.
Dude, your mic is completely shot. Sturgill continues to show the way. Ronnie Osmer sitting in the number 2 spot. Those guys still going at it, hammer and tongs. Osmer still using that low line through the corner. Sturgill still using the high line, carrying the momentum. Seems to be working well for Sturgill right now, as he is showing the clean air. Osmer gets a little bit of a run coming off of 4, uses the draft going through the dog leg. Those two in lockstep right now. The rest of the field more strung out than a methadone clinic. And a couple little interesting facts. At the season 1 finale that was here at Atlanta, your points champion, Nate Siefker, won the battle and won the war, winning the race and the championship at the same event. Last season, though, was a different matter of events, as Siefker had sewn up the championship by showing up to the race previous to the season finale, and decided to sit out the season finale and let Dan Brazington get behind the wheel for the first time last season, being as Brazington was in race control and being the eye in the sky for the series, as that was kind of his go ahead, I've already had my fun for the season. And kind of funny that the champion didn't even show up to race in the championship event. But Mark McFadden now bringing it pit side, as we are getting relatively close, as McFadden spins it going on the pit road. Big moment for the 22 there, but gets it righted very quickly, as this battle for the lead still hot and heavy. That is your closest battle on track, ladies and gentlemen. Everything else, at least a second and a half of a gap or more between cars for position. And do we have John back? Do we have John? Hello, John. Apparently we don't have John back, but, you got to wonder how much longer can Sturgill and Osmer continue this slugfest at the front of this piece. Now, yes, they are teammates, and I happen to know for a fact as Sturgill going to be the first one to blink, bring it at pit side, Osmer getting hung out to dry. Luckily, Sturgill announcing that he was going to be pitting early enough for Osmer to take evasive action, as he was able to switch lanes and not run his teammate over. But like I was getting ready to say, the only rules that are on VSM, because I've run with them before in endurance racing, try not to kill each other. But if you are going to kill each other, make sure, damn good and sure, that it's a Sports Center highlight the following day. As Osmer takes the lead back over from his teammate, Butch Davis going pit side as well, as is Jeffrey Roulette in the 66. Osmer bringing it pit side. It's going to hand the lead of the race over to the 42 of Chad Simpson. Dan Brazington currently sitting in the number 3 spot, now the number 2 spot. So great run for Brazington, up 11 spots currently from where he started this piece, as Timmy Bates bringing a pit side as well. So as Simpson brings it pit side, we have 122 laps in the books. Simpson going to relinquish the lead as Brazington follows him down. I dare say Ernie Ludwig is going to probably stay out a couple more laps, as he was one of the last ones to pit under that last green flag pit stop. So just waiting for him to make his way around now as he's coming through 3 and 4, and it doesn't look like he has any intention of pitting. And there it goes as Ludwig takes the lead. And Timmy Bates getting it all wrong coming out of pit road. Just spins the 6 down on the apron, out of the racing line. Didn't hit anything, so that's the good news. The bad news is he's probably going to need a new fire suit, as that's definitely a Code Brown moment. Forgot to reset his weight jacker coming out of pit, and that's never a good thing to do. Is yes, Ernie Ludwig continues to show the way, as he's still picking him up and laying him down. Only about a half-second difference between Ludwig and what Sturgill's able to do on the fresh tires, as Butch Davis yet again resets the fast lap of the race, 24.82 for the driver of the 43, who effectively, with the undercut, passed his teammate Chad Simpson. That's going to be effective second place, it looks like. And I could be wrong. Well, it very well could. I very well could be right with saying that, as Davis and Osmer going hammer and tongs right now. Still waiting for Ernie Ludwig to make his stop, as we are going to have 127 laps in the books of 160, as Davis working on Osmer almost gets into the wall coming through the dog leg. That was definitely a scary moment for Davis. Don't tell me he's not pushing that ride for everything he's got, as he and Osmer right now playing a little duck and peek. And if you're Mike Sturgill Jr., you've got to be loving this in your rearview mirror, as it looks like Chris Walker has retired from 12th, and then there were 11. As Will Fletcher, the last car, still running right now in 11th position, a couple laps down, as Davis throws it to the inside of Hosmer through 3 and 4. Side by side, coming off of 4, into the dog leg they go. Davis with the preferred line, Hosmer with a head of steam, able to defend on that second line. And we are seeing the second line start to pay dividends. apparently Osmer learned a little something from his teammate running up there and not being able to catch him. Notice that, that second line is pretty much where you're going to want to be, especially right now, as Sturgill inherits the lead back from Ernie Ludwig as he takes it pit side. It's going to leave us with, looks like 6 cars on the lead lap. Make that 5 on the lead lap. Dan Brasington in 5th, being scored as the last car on the lead lap. Sturgill, Osmer, Davis, Simpson, Brasington, your top 5 right now. McFadden, Ludwig, Bates, Bogan, and Roulette. Your top 10 with Will Fletcher in 11th, the last car still running. And it looks like Osmer and Davis have finally gotten that one sorted out. Osmer starting to pull a little bit of a gap on Davis. Davis probably going into a little fuel conservation mode. Now, it's time for some good news, bad news. Good news is you can just about make it from where they just pitted. Lap 120, lap 122. We figured they can get about 40 laps in. So essentially, we should have just seen the money stop. The question is, how hard are these guys really pushing it? And can they get that 40 laps out of this tank of Go Fast? And I'm hearing clicking in the background. Do we have John back with us?
You tell me how this sounds. I can grab an emergency mic on the box.
Okay. So no microphone for John, as he sounds like an evil robot or a stalker from the 1980s. But Simpson making a move on Davis right now. Davis looks like he's having a little bit of trouble in the 43. May not have gotten the adjustments right on the sway bar and on the weight jacker. And Davis eats the wall going into 3. You could hear the crunch as he got into that aluminum piece going into 3. But much like what happened with Ronnie Osmer, as Osmer takes the lead back from his teammate as Chad Simpson now up into 3rd. But, Osmer definitely on a tear right now. Real happy with the way that 55 is handling. Sturgill right there with him, as those two guys just having fun running with each other, friends and teammates, as I believe that is Jeffrey Bogan that they are getting ready to come up on in the Tequila Patron number 21. And yes, it is, as they work their way off before. Bogan giving plenty of room, going through the dog leg, staying high, staying predictable, as you would like to see your fellow racers do in this situation. Osmer, Sturgill, Simpson, Davis, Brasington, your top 5 right now, as Osmer and Sturgill doing exactly what they need to do to help their wounded teammate, as we did see Chris Samard put it on the hauler. He's going to be scored in 13th position right now. So going to be giving up some points going into the Indy double rounds. As looks like Osmer's starting to pull a little bit of a gap on Sturgill, as we are going to be 20 to go next time across the stripe. Currently working lap 140 of 160, and it's the Sturgill and Osmer show up at the front of this piece. 2 VSM drivers, 1 and 2, 2 FBR drivers sitting 3rd and 4th. And then you got the lone Voodoo driver sitting in 5th, as Davis now catching the lap car of Bogan in exactly the wrong spot, held him up ever so slightly, and that's going to cost him some time, as Simpson starting to pull a gap on his teammate, solidifying his podium position. Now, we pretty much know that most of them should be able to make it from here. And I dare say Mike Sturgill gave the lead of the race back over to Ronnie Osmer to try to save a little bit of fuel, using the draft from his teammate down the straightaways to not quite burn as much. Osmer with a 2-lap advantage on fuel over Sturgill. Simpson with a lap advantage over Osmer and a 2-lap advantage over his teammate, Butch Davis. So Osmer pitted on 122, Sturgill on 120, Simpson on 123, Davis on 121, and Dan Brazington in final car on the lead lap. Last was down on 123. So those 5 guys should be able to make it from here, as we are going to be 16 to go this time by.
Do you have me now, Tony?
I have you now, sir. You're fixed.
Well, this is called the emergency mic in the back of a box somewhere because I am moving. So, not really sure what happened to the other one. A little surprising because I was picking up audio and all the sliders looked right, but I was able to go grab the fancy mic that's kind of been sitting in the back waiting for me to finish moving, and glad I'm back for these last 15 laps. Sorry for putting it all on you.
Not a problem. I'm sorry for putting it all on you last week, but I was kind of still sedated.
No, that's all right. We had a blast. It looks like this is going to be a really good finish between Osmer and Sturgill, barring any late race cautions.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, these two guys just having fun right now. Racing with your buddy, racing with your teammate, and trying to go 1-2 yet again. I believe this is going to be the 4th time this season we have seen VSM go 1-2 in a finish on an oval track. So, let me go back and double check that, because I could be wrong. I've been known to be wrong before. So, season 3. Let's see. This would be the 4th time it's happened. New Hampshire, Watkins Glen, Vegas. The previous 3 times it's happened with the boys from VSM. But coincidentally, the boys from FBR have done it quite a few times as well. The first time this season being at Michigan, and then they did it again at Kansas. Then they did it again at Texas. Did it again at Phoenix, and I don't remember Motegi.
Yeah, I don't really remember what happened at Motegi either. That was my first race, our second race in with these guys after I took over with you here, and it's taken a couple weeks to get into the swing of things, really, but I think I've got it now. And you know what else is even more interesting is like you mentioned right there, but just kind of back to the fact that we've got really a 2-car race for the most. I mean, I guess maybe Chad Simpson right here, the 42, about a second and a quarter back of the 2 leaders. He might have an opportunity to get there, but he is slower consistently each lap by.
Well, we've got 10 laps to go, and like I said, most of these guys should be able to make it on fuel. Luckily for them, we don't have green, white, checkered finishes in Sim Racer's Edge. So if the caution comes out with less than 5 laps to go, race over, congratulations, you win. As right now, Osmer in the catbird seat, Mike Sturgill trying to figure out what he's got to do to get by his partner in crime. But how about this run from Dan Brazington right now? Capitalizing on a podium finish last week, getting another top 5 this week. This is the Dan Brazington we know can drive a race car. This is the Dan Brazington we saw in Season 1 of Sim Racer's Edge, where he finished 3rd in points. So, this is the Dan Brazington of old, and it's good to see him back on form. albeit a little bit late in the season to be doing so. Still should net him a top 10 finish in the points before all is said and done. But, the pace that these guys are setting right now, they have lapped up to 5th place.
That's just nothing short of incredible, really. Kind of just, that probably goes back a lot to those green flag pit stops. You've got to get them right. And you can lose a ton of time on pit road, coming into pit road, coming off pit road. And then if you try to be like Samard, and you try to get on a little bit hot, you go around. And
well, we saw the same thing happen with McFadden when you were having mic issues. McFadden had problems getting on pit road. He was coming in a little hot, spun it, luckily didn't hit anything, but it did drop him a couple of spots as Tim Bates and Ernie Ludwig were both able to jump him on that pit stop, being as McFadden had so much trouble getting onto pit road. But we are 5 laps to go. Osmer and Sturgill still going at it as Sturgill's starting to fade just a little bit from his teammate. May have gone a little too hard, a little too soon in this run as Osmer right there, not falling off quite as much as Sturgill had dropped it back. It looks like he might be trying to save enough fuel to get to the finish because he's not having a full head of steam right now.
Yeah, he's given up a lot of time to Chad Simpson just in that one lap right there. I wanted to mention one other thing real quick, Tony. Dare I say that based on Chris Samard having to put it on the hauler where Butch Davis is running right now, I'm going to go ahead and assume Butch Davis is going to take over P2 in the point standings.
Safe bet.
Unlucky for him, he's still behind Chad Simpson on track.
He is. So Simpson's lead over second place, whoever it's going to end up being at the close of this event, Chad Simpson's lead is going to extend further because, again, it's that bonus point for pole, bonus point for leading a lap. Simpson has done both of those tonight. But Butch Davis is getting the bonus point for fastest lap of the race.
Absolutely. As we're on the white flag lap into turn number 1 for Ronnie Osmer with the solid lead just over a half a second and extending on Michael Sturgill Jr., Chad Simpson, Butch Davis, and Brasington, only 5 cars on the lead lap. Nothing short of spectacular, Tony, as Ronnie Osmer is going to cross the line victorious at Hotlanta.
Sturgill hanging on for a second. Chad Simpson, Butch Davis, and Dan Brasington rounding out your top 5 as the only 5 cars on the lead lap. Ernie Ludwig in 6th, Timmy Bates 7th, Jeffrey Roulette 8th, 9th going to Will Fletcher. Good rebound drive for Fletcher. Jeff Bogan in 10th, and Mark McFadden in 11th. Last car still running. Chris Walker, Chris Samard, Mike Bourne, Kevin O'Brien, Mike Grandy Sr., Yari Rawpatcher, all retiring early from this event. Carl Burke, Mike Rigney, and Paul Crumney all getting show-up points. That was...
We got ourselves some double donuts going on here.
Absolutely. As, a teammate that does donuts together usually stays together and usually suffers from diabetes before they're all said and done. But we're going to... what are you going to do about it?
That's probably one of the best things I've ever heard you say in this booth.
Well, I can make jokes like that because I am diabetic.
I wouldn't dare.
I was making jokes with the nurses because I brought them Halloween candy as a thank you when I was in the hospital. And I pulled the bag out when I went into pre-op, and the nurse goes, "What do you got there?" I said, "Diabetes, have some." And she lost it. She was laughing so hard she was crying.
That's amazing.
But yeah, I mean, I make no bones about being crass, but a driver who is never crass, one of the most respectable young men I have ever met. And congratulations on your promotion to being crew chief at Our Motorsports, Ronnie Osmer, coming home with the victory tonight here at Hotlanta.
Thank you. It was a fun race. Me and Mike and Chris worked well together all race, and it was unfortunate what happened to Chris. Kind of ruined our plans for the whole 1, 2, 3, but we kept it to 1, 2, and we made it work.
Well, this was the fourth time this season you guys put VSM on the first two steps of the podium. Talk us through just how bad the dirty air was, because we noticed when you and Sturgill were running, real close to each other, you were each taking a different lane to make sure that you got clean air to the front wing. And then we noticed when you were under pressure from Butch Davis, you went to the line Sturgill had been running to try to, disrupt what Davis was doing.
Yeah, it's just the fun nature of this track is just it automatically makes your car incredibly loose, hard drive, and as soon as you get in that dirty air, it becomes the tightest thing on earth and doesn't want to do anything but drive into the wall. So we worked with each other to run different lanes and help each other out throughout the run. And it's the best way you can defend is just watch what the guy in the mirror is doing and run their line.
Absolutely. Well, Ronnie, this is your second win on the season and your first win with Sim Racer's Edge on an oval track. Congratulations.
That's hard to that's hard to believe, but it plays my luck.
Well, let's call it like we see it. Your first win with Sim Racer's Edge happened last season at Daytona on the road course. Your first win this season came at Watkins Glen. So, this is your first oval win. And just as you get your first oval win not next week, but the week after, we're off next week for reasons. They want people to get out and vote. But we go to the road course at Indianapolis. Your thoughts going into that race?
A little bit nervous. It's just Indy is a sketchy road course that I've not ran often. So hopefully it'll be a decent outing, keep the good momentum going, and hopefully just keep up the wins.
Well, the good news is you have an extra week to practice, and you can practice on the weekend this coming week because we've all heard what happened at your place of employment. But like I said, congratulations on being promoted to crew chief at Our Motorsports. even if it is interim.
It's interim, and it'll be fun. It's unfortunate what happened to our team in IRL, but we're tough enough. We faced setbacks before, and we can handle them. So I'm confident with my guys.
All right,
and our girl driving this weekend.
There you go. But Ronnie, who do you need to thank for coming home with a victory with you tonight?
Thank my guys and teammates on VSM, Nate and the guys running this league, you guys for broadcasting, Our Motorsports, PH Aware, and Rocket Setups.
Absolutely. Ronnie Osmer, again, congratulations on your second win on the season and first oval win with Sim Racer's Edge. Looking forward to seeing what you can do in 2 weeks at Indy on the road course.
Thank you.
So that was one of the Blues Brothers, and I believe you have Elwood joining you now, John.
Roger, thank you for that, Tony. I appreciate you doing everything you can to kind of keep this show rolling for us. But that being said, coming home, P number 2, Michael, what do you think you could have done a little bit differently to try to catch Ronnie or stay with him those closing laps?
Well, I had one set of corners that was bad where I followed directly behind him and got really tight and lost some time to him, but we were both just kind of taking care of each other and trying to make sure we were good on fuel, not let Chad and Butch catch us. So I was perfectly okay going 1-2 either which way with Ronnie.
All right, and one more question here for you. Did you notice? So it seemed like as the run went on, drivers could get to the leader, but then passing wasn't really there. But at the beginning of the race, and I know you weren't really up there in that, but we could see guys make the crossover move work earlier in the race. Did the track change a little bit, or a little more grip, a little less grip throughout the run? Or did you notice any changes on the track as the race went on?
It's hard to say because I did the majority of my passing pretty early in the race, and then I wasn't close enough, really. We were saving fuel like each run, so we didn't really try to pass each other unless it was to let one of us in front to save fuel. So I'm not real sure. I wish we could have gotten a little racy there at the end, me and Ronnie, and I could definitely tell you more about if the track changed or not.
All right, I appreciate that. Tony, do you have anything for Michael before we let him get to his shout-outs, friends and family, and anything else on his mind?
Well, Mike, we go into an off week next week, but you should be able to carry the momentum that you guys are getting on VSM going into the final two races of the series as we go to the road course at Indy first. Your thoughts going into that event?
Well, I'm just gonna try to keep it on track there. I'm not the greatest road course driver out here, but I think if I can keep it on the track, that should result in at least a top 10. So just gonna get in there early and get as many practice laps as I can in. The last race is at Indy, correct?
On the oval, yes.
Yeah, I'm excited for that one. I usually run pretty solid there, so hopefully we can end out the season with a win.
Well, Mike, before we let you go, who do you need to thank for the podium tonight?
First off, I want to thank you guys up in the booth for putting on the broadcast. I think this is the first time me and Jonathan have gotten to talk, so nice to talk to you. Hopefully I talk to you a lot more here soon. Thanks to all the viewers, everyone out there watching. I know my dad's watching. Everyone on VSM, all my teammates. It really does help having someone you can work with in the race. All the drivers, we only had one caution, and that's saying a lot because getting into the pits and getting out of the pits is really tricky here. I thought pretty much every pit cycle we were going to get a yellow. And I think that does it.
Well, Mike, again, congratulations on, I believe this is your fifth podium of the season, sixth podium of the season. And this is the fourth time this season that we've seen VSM on the top two steps of the podium. And it's been you and Ronnie every time we've done it so far. So congratulations on that. Best of luck to you 2 weeks from now at Indy.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
So that is Mustang Mike Sturgill. And joining us now, the man who is pretty much putting the exclamation point as the season comes to a close. If we inch ever closer to the season coming to a close, Chad Simpson extending the points lead tonight with Samard having trouble and finishing ahead of his own teammate, Butch Davis. Chad Simpson, what do you think you could have done differently?
I wasn't really trying to do anything differently. We came in with a game plan. Just needed to run a clean race, have a decent finish ahead of Samard, finish ahead of Butch. We checked all those boxes and just secured the championship right there.
Absolutely. As we go into a track in 2 weeks that is going to be definitely one of your fortes. You've shown time and time again that you're usually one of the cars to beat when we go to the road courses. Your thoughts going into the road course at Indy in 2 weeks?
Well, that's really strange to hear you say, because I am certainly not a road course person. But in this league, it's been okay. Turn one there, it's going to be real interesting. All those cars wait until the green flag for everybody to hit it down the front stretch and barreling down into turn one. I think as long as we can survive that, it should be a decent finish, I would assume. I don't know.
Well, Jonathan, do you have anything for Chad before we let him give his shout-outs?
No, sir, nothing in particular. It's just we're getting used to talking to you week in and week out, and that explains why you're at the top of the standings. You're always in the top three. It's just consistently there, and that's what wins championships. Great run today. Good job. I thought we were going to see you have a chance to give Ronnie Osmer a run for his money. I mean, that's just kind of not how things fell through this race, but congratulations on another top three finish. And I'm sure we'll be talking to you next week or the week after that.
Yeah, I was giving him a rundown just to see if I could get there, but about 10, 15 to go, the tires just kind of gave up on it. I was perfectly fine sitting where I was. So, P3, podium, another one, championship. It's a good day. Thanks, Virtual Racing School, Satellite Racing, FBR Motorsports, Rec Force Pro, and everybody at the league. Thanks for you guys and everybody watching.
And absolutely another strong finish for the entire FBR Motorsports team, as you coming home with a podium, Butch Davis coming home in fourth, and Jeff Roulette coming home with a top 10, coming home in eighth. So good, strong night for the entire team. That's going to extend your points lead in the team standings as well. So, Chad, again, congratulations on the podium here tonight. Looking forward to seeing what you can do in a couple weeks at Indy.
All right, we'll see you there. Thanks.
So that was our top three. Jonathan, your takeaway tonight here at Hotlanta.
Well, the thing I could say for the most part is, I want to say I saw what I expected, but it wasn't quite as racy as I really expected it to be. I figured that we were going to have a lot of back and forth racing. A lot of drivers were going to remain on the lead lap. Obviously very fast speeds, and we didn't really see that. And that's kind of what I really thought. I mean, on the flip side of that, though, I did figure at the same time we could get spread out the way we did, and only be a few drivers battling for the lead, but I really thought we were going to see a much crazier race, multiple cautions, 3-4 people battling for the win at the end, and really it just everybody was spread out on the last lap, and Ronnie Osberg comes along with the victory.
Well, I mean, the biggest thing is most of what we saw tonight, it was all self-inflicted wounds. Mike Bourne had speed early, tagged a wall. Kevin O'Brien had speed early, tagged a wall. Mike Grandy Sr. had a lot of speed early. What did he do? Tagged a wall. Yari Brupatcher tagged a wall. Chris Walker, Chris Simard. Those guys, it was all self-inflicted wounds. And I think part of that goes back to, just how racy it was at Pocono. They were trying to do the same thing here and pushing a little bit harder, forgetting that Atlanta is a little more unforgiving than Pocono is, which is a little surprising when you say it. But, these guys know what to expect when they come here. And, it was, guys pushing the envelope and it biting them in the ass. That's kind of what we saw here tonight. But let's take a quick rundown of our finishing order before we turn this thing loose. Ronnie Osmer, of course, coming home with his second victory of the season. Mike Sturgill following him across for second. Chad Simpson in third, cementing his points lead. I believe he just has to have a solid finish next week to cinch up the championship from his teammate Butch Davis, who took over the second place in points tonight as Chris Simard had trouble. Davis coming home in fourth. Dan Brazington rounding out your top five, and last car being scored on the lead lap. Ernie Ludwig in sixth, first car one lap or more down. Timmy Bates coming home in 7th. Jeff Roulette hanging on for 8th. Will Fletcher in 9th. And Jeff Bogan rounding out your top 10.
That's right. And Mark McFadden finishes 11th, 3 laps to the negative as Chris Walker's 12th. Chris Simard, man, tough race. He had a lot of speed up front, had the pit road incident, and then while we were away, ended up having really big issues and ended up putting it on the hauler. Michael Bourne finishes 14th, another driver who had issues, as well as Kevin O'Brien 15th. Mike Grandy, he was leading when he had his trouble early, 19 laps in. It got into the wall, just kept dropping back, and it just kind of all went from there. Yari Brewpatcher also ended up in the wall early, finishes 17th. And then Mike Rigney was, I showed up for the race, but had to leave. Paul Crumry, same thing, another start and park driver. And then finally, actually, I'm showing him 19th. However, that seems incorrect then. But
no, that's right. Crumry in 19th, Carl Burke in 20th.
That's really done. That's different from my timing here. But, yep, Paul Crumry comes home 19th, Carl Burke 20th. Tony, how do you think they score that when 3 drivers don't start? How do you think they decide who?
They give them show-up points, and they go by the official iRacing timing and scoring, because that's what gets uploaded to the SimRacer Hub. So Rigney going to get scored in 18th. Crumry 19th, Carl Burke in 20th. Yeah, I mean, it was amazing action tonight. Again, we have to thank our very good friends over at Red Cat Racing. Again, with the holidays coming up, folks, and you've got a gearhead in your family, there's nothing better you can give them than a hobby grade RC vehicle at the price point that Red Cat Racing offers their rides. You're not going to beat it. Great quality. They've got a lot of ready-to-run stuff. All you got to do is unbox it, charge the battery that comes with it, put the 4 AA's that come with the rig into the controller, and you've got hours of fun waiting at your fingertips. So hop on over to the Red Cat Racing official website and visit your local hobby shop and tell them, hey, I want a Red Cat. But that is going to do it for us here tonight for Mr. Jonathan Leach up in the production truck and joining me on comms. This is Tony Trapasso reminding you, ladies and gentlemen, that as you walk down the road of life, please do not play in traffic. Good night, everybody.